Library of Heaven's Path. Chapter 3. Imperfections in Heaven's Path. A live battle between teachers on offering pointers. Zhang Xuan's face darkens. Although he has inherited the memories of the previous Zhang Xuan, he has yet to organize the information in his head. At most, he can only make sense out of the different realms in cultivation. If it is on mistakes of cultivation, even the previous Zhang Xuan could only smoke through it, needless to say, the current Zhang Xuan. Guiding others. He is definitely inferior to this teacher Chao. If they were to really compete, he would surely lose. Why? Are you scared to accept the challenge? It is clearly written in the rules that teachers can compete with one another so as to allow the student to make a better choice. This isn't considered as poaching. Chao Shang chuckles. He flings his sleeves and a serene and scholarly look appears on him. What do we offer the student's pointer on? He knows that if he doesn't settle things properly today, the only student he has recruited is going to flee. Zhang Xuan grinds his teeth. There are many aspects for a teacher to guide their students on, such as their cultivation, martial art and mistakes in training. As the teachers differ from one another, their specialty also differs. How about this? Since they are all new students whom we don't know, how about we have them execute a punching routine, then guide them based on the flaws in their execution. Afterward, we will have a test on the spot and the one whose student improves to a greater extent wins. How about it? Against other teachers, Chao Shang wouldn't have the confidence to challenge them. However, against the one whose performance is first from the bottom, the one who scored 0 on the teacher qualification examination, he is still confident of his skills. Zhang Xuan hesitates. It can't be that you do not dare to accept. You were still bragging so proudly back there that you refused so many students who wanted you as their teacher. If you possess true abilities, let's compete it out. Don't hinder the future of the young lady. Chao Shang coerces him. All right. Zhang Xuan nods his head. The worst one thing that can happen to one is death anyway. The worst that can happen now is his loss. If he doesn't accept the duel now, the student he just accepted will definitely withdraw. At this moment, there is nowhere for him to retreat to anymore. If he finds himself unable to make it when it comes down to it later on, he can just make up something random on the spot. Anyway, he has thick skin, so what if it is embarrassing? Teacher Chao and Teacher Zhang are competing. Which of these two teachers on the bottom will win? That's him. A teacher who scored 0 on the teacher qualification examination still wants to compete with others. Are you for real? Isn't he just looking for embarrassment? Upon accepting the challenge, numerous students who were in the midst of eating came crowding over. Today is the day for the registration of freshmen. Quite a lot of people who came have heard of this teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination, even though they have yet to meet him in person. Most of them are quite curious how it would turn out. Going by the rules, you will guide my student while I will guide yours. Seeing people gathering around, Chao Shang feels even more motivated to perform. He smiles with his hands open widely. To ensure fairness, competition between teachers disallows them to offer pointers to their own students so as to avoid the suspicion of cheating. Normally, they would exchange students to guide. Young lady, come and display your punching routine. Use your full strength to strike the stone pillar. After confirming the content and method of the competition, Chao Shang assumes the look of an unworldly saint and looks towards the dazed young lady. Wang Ying blushes furiously as she peeks at Zhang Xuan. After confirming that he isn't angry, she walks forward. With her hands apart, a leisure aura shrouds her entire body. Hoo. The shock wave from the punch causes the wind to whistle. Her punch is full of force. If one doesn't see it personally, they would definitely find it hard to believe that this was a punching routine from the dazed young lady. Her stance is stable and forceful. Just from the looks of it, she has built up a great foundation. Very quickly, the punching routine comes to an end. After seeing the punching routine, Zhang Xuan falls in despair. With his experience, even with the memories from his previous life, he couldn't see any flaws in it at all. No wonder he would score a 0 for his teacher qualification examination, his eye to perceive such things is too weak. Yes, your full strength and strike the stone pillar. Seeing that she is indeed a good bud, Chao Shang nods his head in satisfaction and says. A stone pillar stands not too far away from them. It can be used to gauge the strength of the students so that the students would have a better understanding of their own strength. Wang Ying walks shyly over. She turns the strength she gathered from that punching routine earlier into shooting stars and sends a forceful blow over. Pung. The stone pillar staggers and numbers appear on it. 53. 53 kilograms. The strength of your punch is not bad. Chao Shang nods his head in approval. For a freshman who has yet to enter the academy to be guided by the teachers, not to mention she is a female, it is already quite incredible for her to have such weight behind her punch. Previously, I have noticed that your punching routine is very vigorous and forceful. However, one flaw with your punches is that your punch route is a little too short. If you can increase the speed of the rotation of your lower limb, its prowess would increase significantly. If I'm not wrong, your legs should be injured. Chao Shang says. As expected of a teacher, his eye to perceive is indeed much better than Zhang Xian's. With just one look, he is able to tell that the crux to Wang Ying's punching routine is the lower limbs, and from there, he deduced that she might have been injured. Yes. Wang Ying nods her head. Due to your injury, you are a little hesitant to exert pressure on your lower limbs. Let me impart you a method. Don't worry, it will not worsen the injuries in your legs. Following which, Chao Shang speaks of another new method and explains it thoroughly. Let me give it a try. For Wang Ying to possess such strength at her age, her comprehension ability isn't weak. It didn't take her long to understand the concepts fully. Then, she steps before the stone pillar again and clenches her fist. A surge of strength fills her entire body and she feels like a powerful dragon. Pung. 63. After some simple guidance, her weight of her blows increases by 10 kilograms. For her strength to increase by 10 kilograms, that is a 20% increase. I am done with my guidance. It's your time. Looking at his result, Chao Shang smiles faintly, and the glee behind it is apparent. For a student's strength to increase by 20% with just a single session of guidance, this is not a bad result at all. Teacher Zhang. Afterward, a student walks out from Chao Shang's back and readies himself to execute his punching routine. Hold it right there. Zhang Xuan raises his hand. Why? Teacher Zhang wants to go against his words. Chao Shang snickers. Go against my words. What a joke. Do you think I will regret something that I have agreed upon? Zhang Xuan speaks with a forceful tone, but in that instant, his heart panics. As a transcender, how could he possibly know how to guide a student? However, if they want to be guided in the field of downloading and watching romance films, he is an expert. I only think that, with the crowd looking at every action of his, Zhang Xuan can only bear with the embarrassment while fumbling for a random excuse to escape from the situation. He is your student and he listens to your orders. What if he intentionally refuses to exert his full strength after my guidance? Won't I lose immediately? I will definitely use my full strength. At the very least, I still have that little bit of credibility. Looking at how Zhang Xuan doubts him, he grinds his teeth. Alright, I believe in the credibility of this student. However, our duel isn't fair. Now that the student had said those words, Zhang Xuan knows that he would only be mocked if he forcefully pushes his way through on that. Thus, he could only thicken his skin further and find another breakthrough. Unfair. What is unfair? Chao Shang says. Wang Ying is my student. If I win, she is still my student. What would I earn? On the other hand, if I lose, she would become your student. How can this be considered fair? This is just like in a gamble of life. If I win, you would spare me, and if I lose, I would give my life to you. Do you think that this is fair? Zhang Xuan says. Heng. Chao Shang is at a loss. Now that he puts it that way, it is an unfair challenge. This bet is just like a fraud. While Chao Shang isn't susceptible to any losses, when the other party loses, he would have to pass his student on to him. How about this? If I were to lose, Luyang over here will become your student. After considering for a moment, Chao Shang declares with a gesture of his hand. Luyang is the freshman who had walked out to be guided by Zhang Xuan. Teacher. He didn't expect that Teacher Chao would make such a decision. Luyang is flabbergasted and a look of anxiety appears on his face. To make him acknowledge a teacher who scored 0 in the teacher qualification examinations, he would rather die. Don't worry, teacher won't lose. Chao Shang looks at him confidently. Yes. Seemingly confident in teacher Chao, Lu Yong walks over and hoo. Regardless of whether Zhang Xuan is looking or not, he begins on his punching routine. This. Initially, he wanted to say a few more words to make this youth give up. However, seeing how he immediately starts on his punching routine, not even giving him a chance to speak, Zhang Xuan feels a little desolate. To tell the truth, he doesn't even recognize the punching routine of the student, so how could he find a flaw in it? Needless to say, to guide him. Flaw? What flaw is there in this punching routine? Beads of perspiration flow down his head and anxiety overwhelms him. If he is unable to find a flaw to guide him, embarrassing himself is a small matter. However, the student he took so much trouble to recruit would be gone and he would be expelled from the academy. Boom. Just as he was overwhelmed with anxiety, the library of Heaven's Path in his mind tremors and the deep rumble of a lightning echoes. 4 words appear on top of the bookshelves. Heaven's Path is imperfect. These 4 words have induces an imposing sensation, as though the mountains. It carries with it boundless prestige and might. The moment the 4 words are formed, a book appears on the bookshelf and books which are intangible and falls before him. What is this? Zhang Xuan's heart stops for a moment. He lowers his head to look at the book in his hands. He could only see 2 words on the cover, Lu Yang. Casually flipping to the first page, he could see a dense concentration of words written it. Lu Yang originates from the Lu family from Shaoyan City. A student of Haotian Academy. Fighter 1 Dan Juxi Realm. Cultivation technique. Lotus acupoint breakthrough might. Battle techniques. Soaring flower fists rookie, dragon inch fist expert. Flaws. 12 aspects. Number 1. He uses too much strength for his feints. Number 2. Number 3. Number 4. Number 12. Although his left arm is much stronger, his punching routine is more suited for the right-handed. Thus, he is unable to exert his full strength. This. Looking at the densely filled words on top of it, Zhang Xuan feels as though he is going mad. Is this for real? Just as he is thinking of Lu Yang's flaws, the Library of Heaven's Path compiles a book on his weaknesses. If what is written on it is for real, then the gift package he received as a transcender is simply too overpowered. You must know that everyone has their own flaws. Every martial art and moves have their own flaw. Perfect doesn't exist in this world. To be able to perceive the flaws of a person and compile it into a book, this library is on the verge of breaking through the heavens. Peng. Just as Zhang Xuan is surprised by the changes in the library in his mind, Lu Yang has already completed his punch routine. After a resounding tremor, numbers appear on the stone pillar. 62. The weight behind his punch is 62 kilograms. Teacher Zhang, Lu Yang has already finished his demonstration. How about you offer him some guidance? Chao Shang smiles. Hearing those words, those who are watching the commotion by the side gaze towards Zhang Xuan. They want to see how the only teacher who scored a 0 in the teacher qualification examination would guide his student. If you find any errors, please let us know in the comments below so we can fix it as soon as possible. Also, like and subscribe to our channel to get notified of the latest chapter release.